Hi, my name is Hadar Noiberg. The real way to pronounce my name is Hadar, but I'm going to settle with Hadar. That's just fine. I've been a flute player for many years. I'm playing this beautiful Haynes wooden grenadilla flute from 1905, and I want to discuss something that I keep hearing a lot from people that I work with. And the question is there such a thing as a classical flute sound and a jazz flute sound? And can you be both? Can you be an accomplished classical player and play improvised music or other styles of music? The short answer is yes, of course you can. And no, there is just flute sound, not classical flute sound, and definitely not a jazz flute sound. Wait before you want to bite me. There are, of course, different aesthetics that go with each one of the styles. So it's more about how you approach the instrument and how you articulate and how you approach the beginnings of notes, for example, and what you actually pay attention to. I could play any kind of a classical flute piece. There's a specific way I think about vibrato, a specific way I think about starting the note, doing stuff like that is not really, doesn't really work with a classical aesthetic. And of course, if you want to be a professional classical musician, a classical flute player, you need to go to auditions and you need to have certain qualities in order to fit that style. And actually, learning really, really great classical technique has been nothing but great for me to playing other styles. Because when you control your tongue, when you control your articulation, when you control your breath, when you control your fingers, when everything is smooth, then you can play whatever style you want. And you definitely don't have to change your sound to a jazz sound to do it. Like, I don't think that a jazz flute player has to be like... If people want to play with that sound, it's completely great. I'm all for it. I'm not going to change anybody's styles of playing. I'm just going to say that it's not a must. So for me, when a jazz player has all of the little details of a classical player, I really, really love that and I enjoy that. And actually I enjoy listening to amazing jazz horn players that have that quality, like Lee Morgan. Dexter Gordon. Like Chet Baker, people who have like so many colors in their horn. So it could be like... So there's many things that you can do with controlling dynamics, controlling breath. The one thing that sometimes classical flute players are having a bit of a issue with when it comes to moving towards like more maybe groove-based music, because jazz, I don't mean only like jazz as in swing, as in straight ahead jazz. I mean like music that you basically approach with freedom of improvisation or of some kind of development. There's the element of surprise. You don't have everything written out and you're not sure what's going to happen. You can still maintain a core of the sound, of your technique. And sometimes what happens is that and I studied classical music for many years, when you come from the classical field, you're used to a certain clarity of tone and like a certain, like maybe striving for like perfection of everything, to be really the best that you can, and you practice and you strive for that quality, and then to let go of that is a bit tough. So sometimes in my classes and in my lessons, I work a lot with classical flutists who just want to improvise, and it's great. You definitely don't have to start studying jazz theory and swing and bebop language to be able to use your instrument to improvise and play freely. I'll definitely make another video about that. Sometimes the tonguing and the articulation are too much kind of, I guess, belong to the classical music realm or language. Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing it in a mocking way at all. None of that is here in this channel. None of that. I'm just trying to say that what wasn't swinging or working with what I played before is that the type of expression was just too different and not really paying attention to the musical surrounding that is going to happen when you play jazz. When you play jazz, especially if you play a standard, if you play swing, there's a certain groove and feel that's going to happen. You know, the drums are going to do, first of all, there's drums, and they're going to do, not all the time, but maybe, and they're going to do one thing, and there's bass, and there's guitar, or maybe piano, and then you are playing the melody, you're the flute player. To do that, you have to feel, you have to get that feeling, and then your articulation has to change. There's a lot of beautiful, I guess, vocabulary of articulation that you can take from the classical world and just kind of modulate it, can I even say it, into the jazz world. So kind of like a tongue that you use for Baroque maybe, or for Bach. Something more TD, TD, tiri, tiri, those realms. So if I do a lot of like ta 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 ta, I kind of sound too jumpy. And so if I'm doing it maybe with a different kind of tonguing, then I can start feeling, oh, this is soft. This is soft. If you just go like, it just doesn't make me relax into the groove. You know, it keeps me on my toes too much. It's too much like this. And so something like that is more flowing. And if I get into like real flute technique, it's less of a taka 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 or a ta ta ta, and more dugu 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 dugu, dilly 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 tidi tidi tidi. So if you want to just play a scale and you want to change your articulation from taka 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 to tidi 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 tidi, both of them are in the front, tidi tidi, then instead of sounding like you sound like definitely that's not slurred, that's not legato. Sometimes there is a confusion. Oh, you're doing this. No, I was defining the notes, but it's a part of like this one breath, so they're not very detached from each other. I'm gonna slow down. If you're playing faster, definitely you can't use the TD TD too much. You have to go to okay, but that's getting into a technical head, maybe too much. I love having that kind of dexterity and control that I regain from practicing classical music and playing classical music. I love it. It's great. It's giving me so much colors. But there's some things that maybe classical musicians don't do enough to maybe step out of that specific head space of like how you think about classical music. Maybe like it's too much 1 and 3. That's one thing I've noticed. Pa 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 pa. What happens if you put the metronome pa 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 pa? To think about rhythm in a different way, to get yourself thinking of offbeats. Offbeat, I'm going to do a whole other video just about offbeats, because that's like one thing that people don't pay enough attention to. And really, it's so important. If you know where the downbeat is, you have to know where the upbeat is. It's just like they don't exist without each other. They just don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'm exaggerating, but it's more like and actually practicing this kind of thing can get you to play classical music, Mozart, Bach. It can get you like swinging in the right way, you know, in the classical way. It can get you actually lighter in the language. I mean, amazing flutists like Rampal, if you slow down and you listen, they have that buoyancy in the sound. It's like unbelievable. To try and summarize, this is my first video here in this channel, and what has been one of my biggest joys and kind of a mission in the last maybe 5 years is to get in touch from flutists around the world, from all over the world. And actually, I traveled to Taiwan and to Brazil and to Canada and to the US and Israel and Europe to teach and to play. Firstly, I'm a performer, so of course to perform. Get in touch with a lot of flutists from around the world, and flutists that are professional, come from orchestras and they want to improvise, and flutists that are playing jazz and they want to get more grip of their technique, to be able to study with each other and from one another, and create like a bigger community that supports flute players. So that's something that really interests me and makes me feel really excited about teaching and excited about exploring and excited about this new YouTube channel. So if you like to know more about jazz flute playing, articulation, about things that are maybe taboo, flute taboos like the open throat, or things like about learning music by heart, how to practice, how to start to improvise, how to work on your rhythm, I want to talk about all of that. So if you like this video, hit subscribe and join me on the self-sufficient flutist journey. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you. Bye.